So we got a little bit of a late start, but now that we're all here, I think I'll start with Kelly, since you're our co-chair, if you wanted to facilitate, and anybody please let me know, this will be my first time. So roll call, we start from the end and move down.
Raquel Perez.
Kelly Severin.
Bob Olson.
Perfect. And then I believe we would move to call to order. Perfect. And is there any public comment? Let's see. Any public comment from the from Zoom? No, perfect. Alrighty.
Is this Miss Patricia Hill or is that Patricia?
View the chat.
I can't see. No, it's okay.
And then we would move on to approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which was on 9/27/2023.
Motion to approve minutes.
I second.
Perfect, so moved. Alrighty, consideration of additions. Oh, vote, yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Perfect. Alrighty, consideration of additions to the agenda. Are there additions to the agenda?
I have a question. It would be under letter B, number 2, insert D, rural boundary.
Okay,
Say again, please.
Letter B, under number 2, letter C, insert letter D, rural boundary.
Oh, slash rural, government structure slash rural boundaries, is that what you want to?
Yeah, if these are the names of the committees, then we just need to add the rural boundary there, or if you want, we can speak to both the government structure progress that's being done, and then the rural boundary, so whichever. Let's add it on, because it's all part of the same committee.
Got it, yeah. They haven't talked about it yet, but I understand what you're saying.
And then I have one, let me see where it could go. Under letter, Roman numeral number 7, letter A, wetland ordinance. There's a agenda item that's coming up at the P&Z October 19th that I would like to add as a sub discussion item underneath that category. It's on Dean Road for townhomes.
I'm sorry, 1019 is BCC meeting?
It's a P&Z meeting, so.
Oh, TNC.
So if we could just make that be, what do we do, like a number 1, 1019 P&Z, Dean, townhouse, wetland impact. And those are all my considerations of additions. We need motions to approve.
motion to approve, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, all not in favor? Perfect, so moved. We can move on to approval of agenda. Motion to approve.
Second.
Perfect.
Then aye.
Excellent, and then vote to approve is aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Next, we move on to reports of officers and work groups. We were going to have someone do a presentation about the wetland ordinance. I do have some notes about that as well. And then we also provided some PowerPoints for you guys to move through in addition to. I did hear that you went to the meeting. Did you have anything that you wanted to share from the BCC that you attended? If not, I do have plenty of notes over the subject.
Just that it's, that meeting was one of many, and this is a, 2-year effort, and hopefully be completed in December. And they did listen, they entertained a few questions from commissioners about things like the buffer zone and some clarification about versus, basically, I guess we have, Orange County has one kind of permit, and this suggestion is to change that. So that smaller projects that have almost no wetland impact, the permitting process can be expedited. And then there's some incentives to get some wetland friendly incentives built into the options for larger projects. I believe they discussed on that. And answered the commissioner's questions. Emily asked you, there's a video.
There is a video. Yeah, you can always view the entirety of the meeting
So we
on.
recapped it, just watch the video.
Yeah. Some reports from our office from Alexis Albino, who has been watching the wetland ordinance quite closely. She did reiterate quite a bit of what you said, such as that the wetland ordinance revision began around December 2021. The updates have for almost 2 years in the making, like you said. The overall feedback from the board is that they were primarily looking for enhanced protections, including additional special protection areas, primarily protection of upland buffers, municipality coordination, and she goes on to say that they also wanted improved permitting processes and increased predictability to help streamline the process. To address all of these requests from the board, the Orange County EPD has adjusted or added to the language and definitions in the Wetland Conservation Area Ordinance in various sections. To refine the tired permitting approach, EPD has implemented certain standards in lieu of a single permit type and eliminated the class system to assess wetland based on quality and functionality. And did anyone have anything else to add to that?
Yes, I attended the meeting as well, and one of the things I spoke to was that the ordinance doesn't have any teeth behind it. So it's like we're trying to do something that is better than what we have, but there's just not a lot of, what's the enforcement behind it? There's no reference to the enforcement, and we know how planning and zoning operates where, we can mitigate, we can cut corners, we can, and so I think it needs just to be a little bit more robust in terms of its rigor, if this is what we're gonna stand by, then put some teeth behind it. That was my comment, and but I can speak to the next item regarding P&Z next week.
Excellent. Yeah, I completely understand. After the wetlands ordinance, you wanted to add the T19?
Yes, so next week, Thursday at 9 a.m., there is a case that is, it's the DDCM, Dean Road Townhomes. And what I'm looking at is the environmental impact study that they did. And initially, the applicant submitted the proposed development forward with 100% of the 5.21 acres impacted on site. And then they came back and they said, well, we'll just impact 2.31 acres of it. And they removed some of the buildings, and now they have a viable 11 townhomes that could be there. My concern is that, we're trying to they're type 1 wetlands, so we're trying to build this ordinance. We're trying to do Vision 2050, but staff is still recommending under the spirit of what we're trying to move away from. And I don't think that's right. People have worked really hard to protect wetlands, and it's not just from an environmental conservation perspective. This area is flooding. And it's flooding because we're just filling in. So I plan on going to the PNC and talking about it. It's just, I don't think that it's right, that if we're really talking about, and that's when I say, like, the document just doesn't have teeth behind it. If we're really trying to walk our talk, then why are we still talking about this info?
Right. Kind of saying, put a stop to it if you're really about it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Do you want the project number on that?
Yeah, that way I can include it in my notes and writing everything down and make sure that the commissioner, when she, when we go over this.
It's 31, 22, 25, 59.
Excellent. And you said that was the Dean Road townhomes?
Yes.
GDC, yeah, Dean Road townhomes.
I needed one more agenda item, I forgot. How do we do that? I don't know, it's real.
Oh, no, I don't know. I think, let's see, let's look at the agenda for today.
It'll do it underneath this.
Covered
Because
underneath this?
Yes, I can see.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
We worked that out together. Okay. So the next item, if we could move on to item B, which is the Charter Review Commission topics. The last full commission meeting was on D2 on September 18th, 2020.
So I spoke with Eugene before this meeting. Eugene is still doing hurricane cleanup on trails, so he wasn't able to make it this evening. But so he briefed me though on kind of what's plugging along. So expansion of the county commission, as you guys know, that's come up like in numerous charter review committees. And this one seems to be, as he has said, is kind of trucking along. So it's gaining some more momentum than it has in the past. So that was the expansion there. The term limits that he said that group is, kind of divided on where they are. So they're still in discussion phases. Government structure is having its subcommittee meeting, I believe, next week, Wednesday. And that is to discuss, the separation of the legislative power from the executive power. So to remove the mayor from the BCC so that he's not the executor sitting on the legislative branch as well. So and that one is growing more in popularity than what Eugene said he anticipated that it would, which is interesting. And then the rural boundary, we made a lot of really good progress. So I submitted that rural boundary policy, and a lot of people think it's about all conserving rural communities, rural lands, natural lands, resources, et cetera. And it has part of that, but it's also about protecting where our money goes in terms of our best return on investment for our infrastructure. And it's not spent best out in the rural area, it's spent best in the area where the most dense populations are. So what that committee did under the advice of Commissioner Lee Constantine, who was very active in developing the Seminole rural boundary and has also served as a mentor to Alachua and Pinellas County, who just recently passed their rural boundary, is that he says it's a really heavy lift to come up with a map that says, here's where you should draw this boundary, and you have to have map experts to do it. The subcommittee is not comprised of map experts. So his suggestion was to put a voter referendum on the 2024 ballot that says that a workforce group would be created, and it would have X amount of people on it, and these people would have to satisfy these characteristics so that we don't get a bunch of developer attorneys that are going to sit on that board. And then that group must produce the rural boundary map, which would have mapping experts at that point in time by 2026, and then voters will get to vote in 2026 on the rural boundary. In the meantime, there would be essentially where the planning department would be instructed that rural settlements, rural lands should not be rezoned for anything other than what they are currently zoned for. And that was the process that Seminole County followed in 2002 to get it successfully passed in 2004. The same process was followed by Alachua and Pinellas County. So we have, and he has two other counties' names, and I apologize, I can't recall what those were right now, but so we'll have 5 counties in the state of Florida then that would have rural boundaries, where essentially they're using it as a cost-saving mechanism to drive the growth inward, invest our dollars into the social services, the affordable housing, everything that is needed, the roads there, instead of just sprawling it all over. So that was, and we had unanimous agreement on that. So that should be moving very, very quickly. The attorney picked it up, he's drafting the language now. It'll come back to committee, they'll rip it up a couple times, edit, redline, and then that'll go to the main floor for people's input and public comment. So that's the update on the rural boundary. The last one there is the Sustainable Growth and Charter Cleanup Committee. And that was the update that I just gave to you on, the rural boundary there. And in terms of the cleanup committee, they haven't really substantially discussed that at their meetings, and I attend each of those. So I don't know what's the movement in that area. The creation of a public bank committee. That's an interesting group because the public banking has a title that I think people affiliate with. This is a place where I can go get my mortgage. This is a place where I can get a car loan. So it's public, and that's not in essence what it is. It's essentially using your local banks to support, the government structure, so that like the fees and things like that stay local, as opposed to going to like Bank of America or something like that. So the comptroller had a guest speaker that was not in favor of it. However, they do have an expert that's going to be speaking at the next meeting who has it. And the interesting thing is not only do we have the state of North Dakota that uses this technique, but now New York City passed a law where they're using public banking. San Francisco passed a law that they're using public banking, and Colorado passed a law that they're using public banking. So it is a banking model that governments are moving towards, and the intention is to really capture the economies of scale for your local government banks. So the problem with that is it's a big learning curve to educate the public. I've been going to the meetings and I still would have a hard time.
Right.
So that's
When we were at the CRC for District 5, which was at the chambers, the commission chambers, there was a lot of, it was my first time hearing about it, and there was a lot of different kind of combination of comments of like, what is a public bank? What are we expecting? And I think that's a very good input, is that you don't know what you're getting when you hear that for the first time. It's like, how is it going to benefit us as a community? And I think it looks to assist with housing for people who maybe can't have a Bank of America account or Wells Fargo, or go through that route. So it's interesting to learn about. I think we're all on a learning curve when it comes to learning about it. It's very new to me, and it sounds like in like Colorado and in California, those are places that we haven't caught up to yet, just yet.
And Los Angeles is also taking their vote on it as well.
That'd be interesting.
Yes.
Is there any talk at all about doing I guess what would be called the federal model, where mortgages are purchased and then secured, as opposed to having the bank originate the mortgage?
Not yet.
And
Right
so
now,
using the money that the treasurer, as a reserve to back the mortgages as such, if any one of the mortgages that's issued goes south for any reason?
they haven't, I think that'll be a discussion that's forthcoming, but right now what they're talking about is what is it and how does that structure look?
Okay, does the controller seem more willing to do something like that? I would call it indirect as opposed to direct mortgaging, which has the same, I think has the same effect, because it uses the money to back the mortgage instead of issuing it directly as such. And that way he doesn't have to go through. I understand why he's concerned about it, because running a public bank is not a fun operation, period. And very, very complicated as such. So as opposed to buying Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, but just buying the mortgage, as long as it's conforming to what you want, And then just in case it goes south, like I said, that's the backup rather than being in the issuing process, so to speak, being an originator.
The meetings are only 1 hour, so I mean, they're just kind of skimming the surface right now with the experts to
Yeah.
define what it is and how it works.
Yeah, to me, the FHA and the veterans particularly, but the FHA veterans have all been excellent programs as such, I think, and well received by the political community without getting the quote unquote government into the banking business as such, although they are obviously, but for the general public, they think of walking into the bank as being banking, and this is behind the scenes, behind the curtain, so to speak, if that makes sense to you.
So it's interesting. My takeaway from speaking with Eugene was that there will indeed be some type of voter referendums that we'll have the opportunity to vote on in 2024 for the amendment to our county constitution. So the process seems to be working in terms of allowing the people to influence and guide the process. It's good.
The challenge is public awareness, just disseminating the information that it gets to the general population and that they understand,
That was
we
my
do our due diligence and researching not just what's presented in front of us, but the common community member.
Yeah.
They're just clueless.
And sometimes even when you read the language,
Yeah, I did a deep pick, I have to,
you
yeah.
don't understand what it
Yeah,
says.
absolutely.
So it's a lot of writing it in terms that we can understand.
And a lot of these decisions are happening, but again, if voted, it gets to the point where there's not that plan of the next step, and how is it going to be implemented and this sort of thing. It's kind of always kind of like, yep, we're here.
Yeah, like the right to clean
And then
water, split forks. Yes, we're still trying to enforce those.
Oh, Chuck was going to be here. However, I don't see him attending via Zoom. I don't believe he was able to make it tonight. Very unfortunate. We're looking forward to hearing some of his updates concerning the initiative petition and the other CRCs that he sits on. In addition, the Florida Wildlife Corridor may need to wait until the next meeting as well. Louise Olwin predicted that he was going to be able to be here via Zoom, but I don't see him in the lobby as well. So we could put that, I don't know if that has to be voted on.
I was trying to log into Zoom on my way here because I'm going to be a little bit late, but I couldn't get in either.
Oh,
That was just at the beginning because we were in the process of trying to get it all together.
Okay.
But we do have someone logged in.
Okay, so it
And
worked.
yeah, so it's working. So we only have one person.
And that delay, like something, we started out, it was canceled.
yeah.
Yeah, because we were like about 10 minutes or so. So I'm assuming that once they couldn't get in.
And I
Put it in.
do know that Louise did want to present this in person. I remember he did voice that because he had charts and he had poster boards that we've drawn up for him. So I think that we're his projector. I think it's important for him when he comes to give a thorough presentation. Although I'm not sure where Chuck is, I will message him and hopefully we can, well, because it would violate sunshine rules, we probably can't come to the next one because Eugene would be here. But that was why we wanted him on this one, because they do sit on the same committees, the initiative petition and I can't remember which other one he sits on with him, but that would violate sunshine regulation. So, but Eugene will give us a very thorough update on the initiative petition next time. I sit on those, and all I can say is that they are going through the 2016 charter for initiative petitions and going line by line to decide what they are going to keep and dismiss. I know that it's come up quite a few times about the financial impact and if we need to get a accurate financial impact from the comptroller, we need to understand specifically what can they predict when it comes to how many people are going to be voted on, like this, why is it 91 cents per person to do this? And they wanted a thorough examination on that. It was proposed at the last initiative petition that someone from the comptrollers will be attending that next meeting to talk to us about how they decide that outcome, that financial impact. The last few meetings beforehand were quite spaced out, but we did talk about having your badges present and all of and how much it costs per person and how much it should cost per person to go out and get those signatures. I think what Eugene and Chuck have consistently presented is that right now there are just so many barriers for the normal person to go out and get a petition to get something put on the ballot. Right now, like it's basically a full-time job if you want to do a petition. You have to have
carrying that
money,
with me.
resources,
Yeah.
and if you don't have those things, then you're quite limited, and that's just not fair. And they've been advocating that very plainly. So I'm excited for Chuck to give a more in-depth report about that, but that was definitely my takeaway from all of the meetings I've sat in, is that we need to figure, I think for that one too, the best way for that meeting to move forward is if we do have a lot of data in front of us. Right now, we can pledge that, it's difficult, it's this, it's that, but some people really need the data to, why is it difficult? How can we fix it? Why is it, if this is too high, what is the correct price per person for these kind of petitions? So, I would love to help Chuck and Eugene do that if if they're listening, and I see them next time, if they need that kind of data, I'd be happy to give it to them. The clean water resolution is up next. Did anyone have any updates on that? If not, Alexis Albino thankfully provided additional information about it.
I hear it's struggling, that they may not even make the Supreme Court
Interesting.
cutoff on it, so, because they don't have paid petition gatherers.
See,
Very
that's
difficult job.
one of the very struggles, is how do you, when you can't pay someone, and a lot of people won't do it for free, so it's interesting.
A lot of people are skeptical, and what are you asking, why are you asking me this? What information it is that, you're trying to gather?
Yeah.
What's the intent behind? I mean, people are getting very skeptical about everything.
And yes, I guess what their limitation is for how many they need to have per area, per county, is just, I guess Chuck and Eugene have specifically asked, why is it like that, and can we lower it, and if we can lower it, what's the right number to lower it to? Because that does seem like an outrageous number to get to for one person, maybe a small nonprofit, to do all by themselves with no resources.
It's a hurdle.
It is a hurdle, and unless you have those resources, it's not a hurdle you can easily jump. Clean water resolution for Alexis Albino, and for update, Orange County Government Sustainable Operations and Resilience Action Plan includes protecting water quality through innovative technology and integrated water management audits at county facilities, reducing water use 25% across county facilities by 2030 through water reuse and equipment efficiencies, and developing clean and safe access to the alternate water supply to meet future demand. However, there is a clean water resolution petition that can be found on their website, which we can provide. We encourage everyone to read up and consider supporting that initiative. So there really is no other update other than you can find it at this website, which I feel is maybe what most people are doing at this time to kind of try to jump that hurdle, is get their website out there for those petitions. I know Commissioner Bonilla's office has presented that petition at a lot of our events lately. And also Right to Clean Water will be at our Spooktacular on the 28th, so they're gonna have a booth. They also go to Lee Road night out, and their tabling events. So if you have an event that you could invite them to, maybe we could support them in that way and have them table something.
Is that information that's being provided again at these social services buildings, agencies? I think about the health department. I think, where you have community members coming through. We rely on the people going to a website, and it's like,
You need the physical traffic to get people interested, and
yes.
yet everyone turns to social media and website traffic and expecting someone to kind of just take the phone and do the homework themselves. That's rough. You want to catch them in the moment. It's kind of like that double-edged sword. I don't know, I know that our office will carry that petition with us to tabling events. I would encourage other commissioners and other areas to do so as well, especially if you have like your own nonprofit or something, if you would like to take that petition on. That would be, I can't speak for any of the other areas that would hold that petition. It's a really good idea though, places that have high traffic that require you to sit, like the DMV or community health centers, or I'm trying to think of other places like Florida Department of Health, like you would want those places for people that are meant to the library. Oh my goodness, the library. Oh, I wish I could get information up in the library. It's hard. I did not know it was so hard. But that would definitely be a really good idea, just to get that awareness out there and give people some time to really read over what they're about to sign to. I think sometimes that's my hesitation when I'm signing petitions, is that I'm being asked in the moment to stop my day and read.
Yes.
But that's definitely something I've learned as I've sat in on the initiative petition in CRC, is that those little hurdles that we may not think about are what people who want to pass something or put on a ballot are facing every day.
I had a question from I've heard the attorney of the CRC say it several times, Attorney Voss, that we can't use, like if any of these charter amendments were to make it through, that they can't use government resources, they can't to pay for the educational outreach. And is that accurate?
I could not tell you, to be completely transparent. What I would do is I would get in direct contact with Mr. Ross, or ask that at the next, I could definitely ask that for public comment for the next CRC that I attend. If you don't mind writing down your question,
Yeah.
and ask at the next public comment, the next CRC, because I am specifically attending those ones. So I'd be happy to ask your question so I can give you an accurate answer. Next up would be, if we could move on, if you want to stay on it, or anyone had any additional comments about the clean water resolution, we can talk about that. Otherwise, next on our agenda is to move on to the unfinished business, which includes Claire's Wedgefield and Lake Pickett North.
Just to clarify, the clean water resolution, are you talking about right to clean water? Or is that a separate?
Two
Yes.
issues.
Yes, the right.
Two separate issues.
Yeah, the resolution is the board. Internal thing of the board, isn't it? Well, the amendment is to the Constitution, the state Constitution.
I have it under as one. I could definitely be wrong.
Because I mean, we already passed,
In one resolution, Orange County.
we already passed charter for clean water locally, so.
Right,
But I
yeah.
don't know what
It was
the
preempted by the,
resolution would be. We already passed it and it was open by mention, so.
I think they're trying to fix it so that it won't be.
That's what they're trying to do. But then we'd still have to like vote on it and all that. Are there two separate things, or is it just coming?
I would, it implied it was like two separate things, but now that I look at it, I think it should be part of the clean water amendment,
Passes 100%, it was preempted by the state.
because that's the one that the league is involved in right now.
Yeah.
I've already sent.
No, Chuck was the right to clean water, he got that in the charter. So the county has it, but not the state. The state, yeah, right.
I mean, is there two? The
Yeah,
agenda,
interesting.
is the clean water resolution different from
I don't,
the statewide petition?
I don't know.
Statewide petition is to overturn.
No, I know, but it's just not clear on the agenda. Are we talking about two things or one thing?
I only have the clean water resolution is the only thing I have for item D.
So do you mean clean water
No,
petition?
I have the clean water
Statewide
resolution
petition?
is the only thing. Otherwise, I don't know about the other petition. However, it says, however, there is a clean water resolution petition. So I guess we somehow kind of got into merging about the petitions, talking about the Florida right to clean water petition.
So there's only one thing,
Mhm.
right? To
Yes.
state right petition.
Statewide amendment, yeah.
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, so this should say clean water,
Oh, the amendment, right?
it's resolution, but it's not a resolution, it's a petition and it's,
Yeah, petition for state constitutional amendment.
unless there's something else.
Yeah, I thought that was a board resolution, but I couldn't figure out
Yeah,
why.
it's
I don't know what that would be because we already did that.
Yeah,
Yes, the
exactly, you're right,
initiative,
We
yeah, it
already
was,
did
Good
that,
point,
we
yeah.
already voted on it, we already.
yeah, for this one in particular, it was the initiative to amend Florida's constitution to the
Yeah.
voters in November 2024. They people can decide whether we should not.
Yeah. it's not a
Yeah.
resolution, there's one thing.
It's just one.
Has everybody, I mean, that's, start local. Start local. You haven't printed it out, no, but do that, at least do that.
And for clarification, because I plugged in, this is my third. Okay, so in the last, we had the public comment where they have the form to fill out for the clean water. Is that the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Yes.
thank you.
Perfect. So we could move on to the unfinished business now that that clarification has been made. And that would lead us to Plurus Wedgefield project and their next steps. Alexis Albino was definitely taking that point and commemorating her on all of her hard work, staying up to date. I do know that she has stated that Commissioner Bonilla has a meeting with OCU, head of OCU next Tuesday for the final update on the next steps on how the board voted to move forward with the next phase of the acquisition of Plurus Holding LLC water and wastewater system. However, they have provided us with a rough draft of what they believe the next steps are. This rough draft reads, Phase 3 work with Hartman Consultants LLC was authorized at the start of the new fiscal year, October 1st, 2023. It is anticipated this effort will have a 90 to 120 day schedule. As OCU mentioned at the BCC, the Phase 3 work is for a full appraisal and it will not include sufficient engineering and condition assessment work to determine the capital improvement program, CIP, needs of the system. They believe this engineering and condition assessment of the sites could cost as much as $1.2 million and could take over a year to complete. In turn, they plan to complete such much smaller self-assessment by OCU of the system to determine the CIP needs. They will also, OCU would then use Phase 3 appraisal and a condition assessment to negotiate down the purchase price with the owner. If the negotiations produce a much more realistic and firm number, it could be used to potentially locate and secure state and federal grant for the purchase and or CIP needs. OCU will readily make ourselves available for several community engagements once they have tangible and new information to provide. OCU will work with Commissioner Bonilla's office on data sharing to produce informational items for the property owners. As been done previously, our office has received numerous requests for a community meeting and an update since Plurus announced its rate increase almost immediately after the BCC meeting. OCU plans to return to the BCC with an update spring of 2024. As a side note, Plurus submitted their rate increase to the FPSC on September 22nd, 2023, as we expected. OCU's consultants reviewed and broke out the interim and total water and wastewater increases requested and the timelines for the FPSC to act. Interim water rate increase request of $719,000. Interim wastewater rate increase request of $513,000. Let's see.
What is that? Is that do you have a percentage increase on what that is? Or
No, but I would be happy to calculate that. By statute, the PSC must act on the interim increase applicant in 60 days. Due to PSC agenda scheduling, this matter should be on the docket on December 5th. Total water rate increase request of $1,062,000. Total waste rate increase request of $528,000. It is projected that the end date docket of this case will be early July 2024.
So those are just the studies, but not the purchase of the,
Correct, they're just studies. I know that Alexis has been working with OCU and has been looking for like a firm update, which is why we haven't had a meeting with with Wedgefield yet, because we don't have any firm updates to give them. We feel it would be counterintuitive to go and say, we don't know yet. And I know that could be frustrating for a community just to hear, again, we're not really sure. I think we're waiting for that next meeting with the commissioner to have with OCU projected for next Tuesday, which due to the commissioner's health, I don't know if she will be attending or if it will still be, or she'll be able to attend. We will attend on her behalf though.
It's a Wednesday.
She is out of the office for now. Which is why we have me today.
Oh, okay.
when you say that the board, she's gonna discuss the board decision on Tuesday with them, is that the BCC board's decision of how they voted, or is that the utility company's board and how they voted?
It's not about the, on steps that board voted to move forward. Yeah, on the board's vote. With the,
Okay.
with the OCU head. Perfect.
And this is all being done on that preliminary assessments that were done.
Yeah, the one that the engineer says, we're gonna do this, but it won't give us what we need. I don't know why we're doing that.
Right, because it does say it will not include sufficient engineering and conditions assessment, so.
To be able to determine a true appraisal if they were gonna go the direction of buying it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they still don't know like what they're getting into basically. So what they're gonna have to do is, and that was one of the main issues that they were having, is having to go in there and then figure out what the mess
Going in
was.
And
Yeah.
to publicly say to the community, we're moving that direction, and then have to say, oh, then again, the ticket price is.
Yes, and then having the community, whether they're on board or not, because that's what happened with the previous information that was sent out. It was sent out during the summer, and basically that's when sometimes people are not at home, so it was just very difficult to get the yeses versus the nos of who wants to go the route of the purchase. So the main concern right now is basically the study. We're not even going into everything else, what that's gonna look like. So it's basically just the study.
So Polaris is a willing seller,
Mhm.
right? But their price tag was 230 million.
I think it was something like that.
So what if the study comes back and they're like, there's $50 million here that we have to fix?
Yes.
Does that come off the top, like how, homeowners would negotiate things like that, or is that,
That's what I understood in the last meeting of what Commissioner Bonilla was saying. It would be kind of that negotiation with
Part of
Polaris.
it, yeah.
Part of it, yeah. How are we engaging the HOA? And again, communicating to the residents, because those people are paying to that HOA. So if anybody's gonna be championing that you need your voice to be heard, should be them.
Yes, and that's why, like, right now, it was a little complicated in the sense that we would have to go back into the whole process from technically not scratch, but we want, right?
Got it.
So, and it was because of that, because we need to get them engaged again, especially because we need to get them more information. A lot of people did not understand what they were getting into. A lot of people did not understand what that actually meant, not only financially, but what aspect. And so we want to make sure that we inform them correctly. So we would like to do more community meetings. So we're gonna be holding that again. And so we're gonna kind of do kind of like what Vision 50 was. So hold more meetings, get more staff involved, so that way we can get back on track.
Yeah, if we could have that same momentum that Vision 2050 have, we would definitely get everyone more engaged than they currently are. I know that our office did do door-to-door with some infographics and asking people to send in their their ballots, but at that time.
Decent working families.
Exactly.
Yeah, and not only that, but by then, nobody knew that if you did not turn in your ballot, that was not clear, that if you did not turn in your ballot, that was an automatic no. So some people were like, well, I just thought I could throw it away and it wouldn't matter. Or some were like, oh, I lost it and I found it weeks after it was due. So we want to start that again and, hoping that we get some momentum once we get all of that information to bring that out to the public, have more public meetings where everybody can just voice their opinions, whether they want it or not, or it's just building that up again. So I'm assuming that once Commissioner has this meeting, that they can go from there.
Yeah. We could definitely, I like your idea about talking directly to the HOAs instead of door to door where people are not home or they don't want to answer or, that, I think one of the biggest problems when they were away from their homes for the summer, like you're not going to engage people that way. We were just we were brand new to the team and we were just trying to, trying to get people in action now, but I think maybe talking directly and engaging with the HOAs is a great way to go.
And there's multiple social media groups within the Wedgefield community.
Correct.
Follow the people.
How about Save Orange County?
And I don't remember seeing any of that.
Yes, and that is the thing, like, since it happened a few months ago, we want to literally start from scratch and having all of these ideas, just putting them together and make sure that we have a stronger
Broader
approach.
communication
Yes.
leading to having that meeting and, okay.
That's a good idea, being in those Facebook groups.
Or next door.
We do post on Nextdoor, but we could be more active with Wedgefield on Nextdoor, but we should do that. Yeah, and tabling out some of their events as well, being more tuned into their smaller events and sending someone out there with, whether it's just, I know they want more of an update from us, and I don't blame them. It's hard to go.
But steering away from being present just kind of sends the wrong message as well, that they could be more in the sense of like, we've been dismissed, this is a long shot for, So it's better to say, we don't have information update, but we want you to know that, and this is what's pending, something,
Yeah. Especially because every day they turn their tap on, it's the problems in their face. They don't have clean, affordable water. The water's brown,
They have a, what do they call it, a farmers every first Saturday of the month they have as well, so having a table there, possibly with some information would be helpful. They just had a new installation in their HOA board, so there's a lot of momentum, more pushback than anything, but that's the audience, that's the audience that we need, because right now, people are like, they're listening, they're tuning in like, what is this board trying to do? And there's a lot of uproar, but guess what? People are connecting, they're plugging, they're reading, and staying in tune of what's happening, and we might need to ride that wave, right?
Yes, that engagement.
Even if we don't have the information, is engaging them, hey, we don't have concrete information, but this is what we're working on. And keep that engagement until you have more factual information to provide them.
Does the negotiation that you're talking about take the developer out? So it seems like he's still, they are still background, and especially if you've got a deed restriction, it's a killer. As far as when you're selling, I guess they're still selling new development. So with that deed restriction in there, the developer is still.
Yeah, that's part of the talk. Yeah, correct. And so that is why I think that right now, I think it would be crucial to wait for that meeting with the commissioner that she may have, and if not, of course, we will attend it. So once we have that information at least, and of course, after tonight's meeting, we can kind of push that more when it comes to our office to start, going more towards the route of engaging the public more and then finding out just more information specifically with that.
Oh, okey-dokey. And then, does anybody have any additional comments about Polaris Wedgefield at this time? Perfect. If we could move on to Lake Pickett North, update from, unfortunately, the commissioner was going to give a.
I have an update on that one.
Perfect, thank you.
I just need one. Just a second, I apologize, it's coming in a string of texts from St. Louis County, so it's. So it says, so the last meeting that we had, Sustany, Lake Pickett North, had been removed from Fast Track, the regulating plan. It's now back updated on Fast Track. We spoke to an Orange County Planning and Zoning rep, and as of now, it's scheduled for the November 16th P&Z hearing. They're still planning on moving forward with that date, although the staff said that they may change it because they're meeting with the applicant next week. According to the applicant, they have addressed all residential and staff comments and have removed the landfill parcels that have illegal violations for the illegal borrow pit and extraction of the Econ River, which resulted in a decrease of 50 units overall. And since it's not an increase in units, Planning and Zoning have determined that it does not require to have another community meeting prior to the public hearing. So the big concern on this piece of land is for 5 years, they've had an illegal borrow pit. They are taking in waste from all over Central Florida. They're burying it in the ground. And the county now is regulating the water quality, and there is carbon pollution now in the Econ. Additionally, they're extracting sand out of the river, so it's creating it to go deeper. So the water is pooling, and it's drying the river up downstream, which is supposed to be going to the St. Johns River, which is where we pull a lot of our drinking water from. In addition, Seminole is now aware of it because their wells on the other side of the Econ are becoming contaminated. So this, I mean, just to say, oh, we'll just take that out, you know, approve us and we can go through, but your ground is now toxic. So, and they have polluted it, knowing full well what they're doing. It's an illegal operation. We tried to fly a drone over the top, and it was shot down. So, we quickly left. But they have done all sorts of destruction and damage, and the debris is piled up so high that you can't even see over what's there. So that was the update that we got from the planning department.
Who's trucking the waste in there?
It's other developers, dirt companies where they're, essentially as they bury the debris, there's extra dirt, so they sell the dirt. And dirt is, sounds weird, but it's a hot commodity.
It's a hot commodity.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Kelly, I was just wondering too, I didn't say anything, we were going over the minutes in my last meeting, but you are saying borrow as in B-O-R-R.
It's a burrow pit, it's like B-U-R-R-O.
Okay.
It's a.
All right, so
Oh,
yeah,
is it a B-O?
it says burrow, and I don't know, that's,
I pronounce it borrow.
yeah,
because-
borrow, because that's the nature of what you're doing, is you're taking something,
Borrowing.
yeah, that's as you kind of feel.
But then I thought it was burrow, because on planning and zoning, sometimes I see burrow, which means that they're burying.
When I looked it up, because I am very fresh on the subject, it tells me that it's borrow,
Okay,
BORROW.
Borrow pits are that, I don't know everything, but I'm not familiar with that kind
You
of.
know a lot.
No. Okay, well, I don't know what a burrow pit is. You're talking about burrows, you're talking about. Stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know what a burrow pit. So,
Borrow.
in the minutes, it should say borrow, if that's what you use in your own water contract.
Yes, I was just going off of what the planning and zoning notes. Maybe they had a typo in their notes. I don't know.
Well, it's in the minutes from our last meeting,
Yeah.
it's several times, it's burrows all over, and I was like, well, maybe I just don't know.
Can we change that?
Is that, are you saying it's a specialized way to bury garbage or something?
I have no idea what a burrow pit is, like,
Oh, no, borrow.
a borrow pit, yes.
Is a specialized way of,
It's not really.
is that what the county uses over in their landfill over there?
It's not special, it's just part of the, dealing with land.
Instead of,
When you equalize, when you grade stuff, you gotta move stuff around. Sometimes when you've got to raise the grade on someplace, you need to go get dirt from somewhere.
and then cover,
Soil,
and then bring it in,
soil from somewhere else.
yeah.
And the temporary location where that soil environment. I don't know what a burrow, that's why, like, it could be a thing, and
No, I just pulled it from planning and zoning as a copy paste, and they just had a typo in it, and I'm just not familiar with the term.
Borrow pit
Yeah,
is
let's
a
put borrow.
common thing, but I don't know
Yeah,
what burrow is.
So that's what I got from that, and then in terms of the update with the US Army
Tortoise, your
Corps,
house is full of garbage.
I can't get a hold of anybody at US Army Corps.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can call and get somebody, but they just loop me from this voicemail box to then I let 3 days go by, hey, haven't heard back, this voicemail box, send an email here, so I'm, in a loop.
Yeah,
So, but I'm not going to quit,
no.
so I will keep on chasing them, so.
Is that something we can add to maybe the next meeting as well?
Has the water management
Yes.
district not?
They've done nothing. St. John's Water Management kicks a can to the state, and the state is the one who filed the suit.
I've forgotten, Kelly, what
I
did,
mean, it sounds like people are like, like that, badly. It's not mine, it's your, I guess between.
It's not my jurisdiction, it's your jurisdiction,
Yeah,
and
but
the ball is just being bounced
So you
around.
have all the
Not it.
broadcasters like on the same phone call. You can't get it to stop.
I think that's what they want,
And it's 5
right?
years. And still, they have a cease and desist order right now, and every day they're taking truckloads of debris in, and it's not just all organic, it's trash.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what you have to, as far
I mean, the
as
sheriff's office should
concerned,
either,
when you have your geotechnical, if you discover whatever it is, isn't usable. You can't, for instance, you can't build on rock.
Right.
And you also can't build on, stuff that has impurities in it, as far as, foundations and stuff like, so the thing is, you have to remove that and replace it with good fill. And it sounds like some contractor is removing bad stuff from whatever site, and they don't know where else to put it, so
they're dumping it back.
they're just dumping it.
So Kelly, have we explored, the trucking aspect of this material, right? It's governed by DOT. So at any given point, they can be pulled over, they can be inspected with the content of, the material in that truck. Have we thought about possibly seeing if that's something that you station DOT, and as these trucks are coming in, there's a full inspection of that
That's a
trucking?
great idea. I don't know.
I mean, it's exposure, because this is DOT documented, so if it's saying that we're bringing in this here, DOT is inspecting and documenting that material is being hauled to that location. And DOT can stop them anywhere, just so you know, anywhere. They are fully, they have to be compliant to any pullover. DOT, at any time, they can pull them over to check random weight, the driver credentialing, licensing. If a light is out, DOT pulls them and can do a full inspection. I know because I'm in transportation.
That's a great idea. And you know, the other thing is, we know they're overweight for the pavement type that's there because they're ripping that road up, the dump trucks.
Yeah.
So now we got more taxpayers that's gonna have to go into fixing all the roads that they've ripped up for an illegal dump, basically, borrow credit. The other topic I need to show pertaining to this is we took pictures. This is a truck that directly left Lake Pickett North. It drove up Tanner to what we call Bob's Canal. And I took pictures. He proceeded to dump wastewater into Bob's Canal, which is an Econ River tributary. I took a picture of the truck. I took a picture of the license of the van. I took a picture of that. So that truck is coming directly out of Lake Pickett North. And whatever they collected, Econ tributary.
And how is that going to be?
We called, they told us to call 311. So instead we called 911.
Yeah.
And 911 said this is a non-emergency, please call 311.
So it's that back and forth again, kind of going in a circle, nothing's going to get done.
But it was really, this is super disturbing. It is clearly, it is waste water coming right out of
I guess back to, how is it not Orange County EPD's jurisdiction to do something? How is it not? I mean, that's little environmental protection division. How's it not there?
It is.
And they're just not.
They told us to call 311. To make a report, the way to do it was to call 311, make the report. We did call 311 after we called, the sheriff's department to say, hey, can you get down here? Because somebody is illegally and it reeked. It's so smelly. It's not necessarily all sewer smell. I'm not sure what that is, but it's for,
And then it's with water too.
I guess so.
What's really disturbing is that that's just what you caught that time, which means he's been doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You just have to be in the right place at the right time with a camera and to see him.
Yeah,
So, and if he's doing it, I think other people are doing it too.
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's disturbing.
But it's whether or not you're getting caught, and.
But I thought there was something now where if you're caught dumping, you're supposed to get a fine.
You should be getting a big fine.
Right.
Kelly, at the meeting where Tim Hall from EPD presented this, there was a part of public comment that I think you spoke for a moment. And then that was the first time I heard about this, but one of the other public commenters was about this issue, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I didn't have context
It was
at
like
the
the
time
illegal-
that I heard that.
Yeah.
So actually, the new head of EPD was installed at that meeting earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And you had Tim Hall who was presenting this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Liz Johnson was there too.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had at that meeting, if they heard the public comment, all of those people in charge should be aware of this problem.
Yeah.
Because they were at this meeting.
Right. These pictures are just from 3 days ago. So that's when we caught him then. But I'm going to reach out to Liz and, I don't know the name of it.
I know they're busy, but this is literally the rubbish.
Yeah. This is actually even public health and safety as well.
It would also be interesting to know where they were instructed to go.
Yes.
Have you contacted Scott Maxwell?
I have a Great Lakes and he is busy. So,
What about the
Jason Garcia and
Channel 9 problem solvers folks?
we haven't done Channel 9 yet. We did do all of the Orlando Sentinel. People, they invited us to write up my word, to put it on there. But we did get Steve Hudak, who's an investigative journalist, and he's interested. He just had deadlines, so we have to keep following up.
Oh, could you please?
Well, you know, this is, I mean, even if
send those
EPD doesn't,
pictures,
yeah,
I think Ms. Seibel was gonna do
even
that.
if EPD doesn't get this documentation is real helpful when if this developer moves forward. When people want to buy this land, you need to share those pictures.
We need to know they're buying, so it's not another wedge field, you know, without clean water.
This is the history of the space you're gonna occupy. Here's,
For your $1 million home.
And considering what they're putting in that ground, how stable is that?
well, there's always remind the developer that you have pictures. And that could impact their plans.
Yes.
Later. Yeah.
So that is all I have.
No, that was excellent. That was a really good overview. And we'll send those pictures to the bottom so we can upload them to this,
Yeah, before I leave.
this meeting. The commissioner can see it as well. We give her a briefing on each of these meetings. So now that unfinished business is taken care of, we can move to new business and announcements. I believe you had something you wanted to add, Kelly?
Yes, so coming up, it is a concerning thing because it sets county precedent. It is coming on our. Also, October 19th at the PNC meeting. So not only is it the Dean townhomes where they want to fill in the wetlands, but also then in Bithlo area, it's a rural settlement. They want to take 5 lots that are currently zoned within the rural settlement and convert them to commercial zoning. However, the application has no reference as to what type of commercial business would operate there. So the issue is that per our comp plan that is existing, you can have commercial, but the commercial can only be intended to serve the existing residents.
Right.
It can also not facilitate cut-through traffic because they don't have the roadway infrastructure to be able to do it.
But they're not going to clear about it.
So, but they haven't indicated what's going in there. If that falls, because we just won a big battle where a guy wanted to change it, this was maybe 3 years ago, he wanted to change the zoning in a rural settlement to commercial, but it was for a Dollar General, and it was entering specifically off of Highway 50. So that would be sending, then it would be one attracting, it's not for the, just only the residents, so it's for outside, but it would be major cut through traffic through there. So we have 22 rural settlements in Orange County. And whatever happens in one of them sets precedent for what can happen in all of them. And I think that it is, you know, I think it's just something, it's not something that should be approved in its current application form. Staff is recommending approval.
So, and I'm just so new to that rule. I just would like to know what would be something that's specifically for the community, like.
So specific to the community are things like
Because I understand a Dollar General is not.
it could be a child care service, it could be elderly services, it can be a small grocery store, it can be, you know, things that are intended to service the residents of that particular area, but not bring in all this additional traffic where now we're talking about expanding roads and rural set. I mean, now we're just wasting more taxpayer money and facilitating strip mall commercial development. And these 5 lots are all right in a row. So there's intention, you know, in terms of why the guy bought 5 lots in a row and why he wants to rezone 5 lots in a row in a rural settlement.
And we go back to that lack of infrastructure investment prior to approval of the utilization of these.
Yeah, and a violation of our comprehensive land use plan. So that is on, so I just wanted to put that on you guys' radar and the commissioners. It's at the PNC. And
On the 19th, right?
yes, 9 a.m. session. And then the other item is after this really appalling vote I found at the PCC, Commissioner Bonilla advocated very heavily against it, as did Commissioner Wilson. was the use of our tourist development tax dollars, and how that was going to be allocated. And so essentially they summed $500 million into the convention center. And that $500 million could have come out to help vulnerable populations, could come out to help labor service employees. There's a lot of things that it could have been used for under the existing state statute. And even during that meeting, Bill Diamond, our comptroller, was saying, when they were asking, what's the economic impact on this? And he was saying, I don't have that data. And so, but the commission still voted, even though your comptroller is telling you, I can't give you what the return on investment of that would be. So what I think could help at the charter, the CRC again, submit the proposal, is creating an independent economic review department that is going to assess and evaluate Orange County's essentially investments, because they're referencing this as an investment. An investment that pays non-livable wages, that supports poverty in this community, is not an investment. And had they used any form of external economist who was not under the political influence of Orange County, those results would have been very different. And we think that the Paula would have happened, I think it's still money from people.
And it was something that our office had brought up multiple times, and we were just told that we would have.
Well, we can put it in our constitution. Massive investment.
Yes.
I don't understand how we're not doing economic impact studies at a county level. It blows my mind away.
It's a very good point, and I agree, because when we were looking up our own, data and information we wanted to present to the commissioner, when it came to TUC as a team, if you look at Visit Orlando, Convention Center, Dr. Phillips, the only data you're gonna find is positive data.
Of course, because they did it.
Yes, exactly, they're cultivating it, they're putting it together. So we want something unbiased. They may be right, they may be doing exactly what they're saying, but getting an unbiased study will make that definitive, someone who doesn't have any skin in this game. So I think it's a great idea. It's definitely something that, like you said, she's voted on, she's aware of. Like, I don't know how we go about it, putting that in the CRC run harder.
I'll submit the proposal, and we'll see how far it goes. It's the best thing to do at that level, but we'll see. There are other counties around the state. It's actually unusual for a county not to have an economic department, and we depend on our economic partnership. But again, they're usually looking at corporate gains, they're not looking at social costs.